Good morning. Welcome to the Third Stop Podcast, the number one show for police-related breakdowns. Today's show brought to you by Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story about failure, about slight incompetence. It's not pro-police. It's definitely not anti-police. It's a story about one man's journey through his rookie years as a cop and then going into becoming officer of the year, but it's just dark and funny and touching of the strings. It's a fun read. It's the perfect book for an airplane ride because it's got all. It's got the thrills. It's got the chills. It's got the laughs. It's got everything. Today's a live show. We've got Johnny in the chats, Low Written, Nightkin, Abby Ellsworth. Everybody's pouring in here. Thank you guys so much for being in here. I do have a special guest today, a former pro MMA fighter, and a former former Army captain, combatives instructor, and now he works with law enforcement in combatives there. He'll be joining us shortly. I wanted to start today's show, though, with my condolences to the Charlie Kirk family, to Irina, the lady on the train in Charlotte, and of course all the 9/11 victims. It's just a wild week, man. It's been a rough, very emotional week, but we've got a lot to cover today. So without further ado, let's jump into today's show. I'm going to try to keep it fun and flirty, but today's breakdown, it's a good one. We'll see how it goes. We'll try to keep it fun and flirty. A little bit more serious, though. It's hard to be fun and flirty in a week like this, but we'll do our best. Let's see what we got here. Wrong intro.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on
Sunday. This is
Sunday.
about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guns up and giddy up. There to stop. The wolf pack is here, brothers, as Ross Patterson would say. Wow, what an insane week. Let me just say, my week started like this. There's a local bookstore, and they made it very obvious about 5 months ago that they hated my book. I gave them one of 60 editor's copies. Now, listen, I'm not gonna say the name of the bookstore. Okay, I don't want anybody going and giving them 1-star review. Listen, it is what it is. Let me just tell you the story, because I need to buy some time for this guest anyway. But it's a good story. This is how my week went, and I think you as the Wolfpack deserves to know, especially since the show's brought to you by Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story, on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Target, Walmart, wherever you want to consume or buy books. The audiobook is absolutely unhinged and crazy. Produced by Simon & Schuster Audio, directed by Simon & Schuster Audio, produced by Noel White. It's a fabulous audiobook. I narrated the whole thing, and it's very funny. But let me just tell you how this week went. So 5 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I was given 60 editors' copies of Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story, my book. An editor's edition has a big giant white stamp on the front that says editor's copy, not for resale. The reason why it's not for resale is because there's misspellings. There are things in there that we might take out or we might not. It is literally for professional reviewers to review the book professionally and maturely, to say, like, I don't think you should say this, or I don't think you should say that. The book is not for these reviewers the editor's copy is not for people to look at the book and then give it a review or a rating yet. It's about making like professional notes, sending them back to the author and saying like this, and that. So a lot of people are like, well, I didn't get an editor's copy. Well, I don't value our relationship as a professional book editor. Doesn't mean that you're not like a great friend or you're special. It's like, I had to explain this to my parents. Like, why didn't we get one of these editors' books? What do you mean? Why didn't we get this? It's supposed to go to professional advanced readers-ish. Now, there are advanced reader copies. That's kind of a different thing. But the editor's copy, it's just for editors, like commas, misspellings, punctuation. Maybe they want to move around a paragraph. Maybe they think a paragraph shouldn't exist. Maybe something is offensive and I didn't catch it as being that offensive, and we can talk about it. So that's what the editor's edition. But well, there's a bookstore, a local bookstore that we've been shopping at for over a decade. We're a homeschool family. Going to the bookstore is a big part of homeschooling. We usually go about every other week, at minimum once a month, if not every other week, if not sometimes weekly. We go there a lot. We even buy DVDs because we're a DVD family on movie nights. We think it's fun and cutesy. When I owned a distillery and I hosted trivia nights, my first and second place prizes I bought from the bookstore. So I was very excited to go to this bookstore that we've been shopping at for 10 years plus. And I walk in there with the editor's copy 6 months ago. That was the first copy of my book I actually got to hold in my hand. And so I get into the office or to the bookshop, and there's a man, the owner, and an employee, and they're standing together. And I always thought it was funny because they, I don't fit the part of a nerdy reader kind of guy, right? I walk in with my shorty shorts. I usually have some kind of a jiu-jitsu shirt on, running shoes, sunglasses, whatever. But I definitely don't look like a neck bearded, mouth breathing basement dweller or anything like that. But you know what? I love nerddom. That's why I married my wife. She's an extreme fan of Lord of the Rings and Jurassic Park and all things nerdy. Her and my kids, they love the Pokemon cards. They're really into nerd culture. So I've never had a problem with the nerd culture. I find myself to relate to nerds more than jocks. I don't sports. I don't sports. I don't know anything about football, really. I couldn't name you a single player that's playing in the NFL right this instant. I couldn't tell you. Couldn't name one single hockey player. If maybe I know one basketball player, Caitlin Clark. That's all I know because of all the media attention that she gets. But other than that, I don't really know much about sports. So, I like to hear stories and stuff like that from the nerd world, and it doesn't bother me. And so I walk into the store, and they've always treated me. They treat my wife a lot nicer than they treat me. If my wife asks if there's a book that they can help find, they literally will walk behind the counter and go help her. If I ask for a book, it's always been like, I don't know if we have that book. And it's like, I've never said this because you can't really articulate, but always felt like, I was like, man, I think that they judge me. I think they're misjudging me as a human. I think that they think I'm not serious about what I'm looking for. Like, I'm looking for some wine books. I'm looking for this. I think that they, I think that they misjudge me. And maybe they think I'm some kind of a jock or something like that. But I've always gotten like this weird callous. Listen, it doesn't really bother me all that bad. It was something I've always noticed. But anyway, so I walk in there and I'm thinking maybe today will be different, right? So I walk in with a book and I say, hey, I'm Eric Tansey. We've been shopping here for 10 years, which I met with. Yeah, we've seen you guys in here. Yeah. Uh-huh. And I have this book, right? I have this book, and this is the editor's copy, and I'm so excited for you guys to have it, man. It would mean so much to me. I have one of 60 of these copies. There's probably some misspellings in it and whatnot, but it would mean the world to me to have you guys take a look at this book. It's a comedy. It's a dark comedy. It's very funny. Would you take it? And of course, the girl was like, sure, yeah, go ahead, leave it here. We'll take a look at it. So I come in 2 weeks later, as we always do, and I say, hey, did you get a chance to look at the book? She goes, I did. Read the first chapter, sold it for $1. I said, well, why did you do that? Did you not like it? I don't like cop books in general. Okay, man, but that wasn't your book to sell. It had misspellings and everything else like that. I mean, I thought I made that pretty clear. She's like, yeah, sorry. So then the owner's like, what's going on? And then I explained to him what just happened. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry. Listen, we'll get your book when it's closer to time. We'll have you in for a signing. And I was like, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. That, it was really important to me that you guys had that book. It was kind of like a gift. You know what I mean? As weird as that sounds, but I was just really stoked for you guys to have it because we've been shopping here for like 10 years. And he was like, no, I got it, man. I got it. I'll take a look at it. I was like, all right, thanks. So I come back in July, as he says, and I said, I have a code. I could get him the books. I could come out of pocket for them as well, but he won't meet with me. And I met with callous and rudeness. I blow it off. They tell me to come back in August. I come back in August, same thing. He's not available. Come back at 8:00 tomorrow. I come back at 8:00 tomorrow, and guess what? They're closed. How rude is that? So I'm like, whatever. They don't want the book. I'm not going to push it on them. Not a big deal. Well, the books in Raleigh are sold out. At all 3 Barnes and Nobles locations in our city, it's sold out. The next closest city is Durham. It's an hour away. And so nobody in my area wants to drive an hour to go get the book. So they call the local bookstore. I didn't tell them to do this. And I get a call back and said, "Yo, what's up with you and Poppers?" I said, "I don't know. What's going on?" So we called to see if they had the book. They said, "Not only do we not have the book, but we're not going to carry the book. We're not going to carry." And I was like, "Dude, there's no way. They can't be that mean and rude. They don't even know me. They've never even really met me. I've done nothing but support their business for decades. And they've always treated me like shit when I went in there, but they have no, I've never had conversations with them." So I have my wife call, my sweet, beautiful, loving, tender, caring wife who absolutely adores that store, spends hours in that store. And they were like, "You're talking about the book by Eric Tansey?" "Yeah, we carried it a year ago. We're not carrying it again." She's like, "Well, it just came out on Tuesday." They said, "Well, we're not going to carry it." Maybe he got a new publisher, but we've carried that book in the past. We're not going to carry it again. So I made a Facebook post explaining exactly what I just explained to you. I was then review bombed on Goodreads. They've even made a fake book. That's not even my book. And they've given it 100% one-star reviews. Goodreads, I got 15 one-star reviews in 1 hour after having only one-star review and a whole bunch of 5-star reviews. And of course, then now it's a leftist political thing. And so all these people, even one of the leftist politicians has shared my post saying that I'm trying to destroy small businesses in the area and that I made all this whole story up and that I've lied completely and that they had me on the books for a sign. Anyway, it's a big mess, but that's what I've been dealing with all week. And then the Charlie Kirk thing happens and life is put back into perspective. Like the book's really not that important. You know, life is so much more important. There are people dealing with a lot more crazy things. And then after the Charlie Kirk thing, I made a couple of posts about Charlie Kirk and, you know, thoughts and prayers. And I just started getting like these messages to go kill myself. I actually posted one today on Facebook. People started DMing me, "Go kill yourself. Put a gun in your mouth, you pussy." Things like that. I mean, just the most rancid, wretched things I would never dream of saying to anyone. Not especially in a public setting like social media. And it's wild. So I've had a real go at it today, this week with the left in general. And you guys know me, I don't really like to get political. I don't really, I don't really care. I consider myself to be a little middle-ish of the road, as silly as that sounds. But I'm a homeschool parent that home births. I'm very into the environment. I'm very into conserving farmlands and things like that. I have a lot of, quote unquote, leftist views. We like home apothecary, things like that. I mean, we're into plants and nature and all these things, you know. But when I refused to get the COVID vaccine, I was called an anti-vaxxer and people boycotted my business because I was an anti-vaxxer. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm just anti-COVID vaccine. When I voted for Trump, which was none of anybody's business, and I didn't post it anywhere, I was just, people would assume that I voted for Trump. They would call me a bigot and a racist and a far right wing conservative. Calling me, I don't call them names. And then all of a sudden I have this book that's not political, and then they make it political. And then I make a post about a loss of life and I met with "Go Kill Yourself." So I'm not really happy with all the left-leaning folks at the moment. And I apologize for that. I don't like to group everybody into one, but I just feel like in this moment, in this date and time, I'm a little bit frustrated with them. Don't hate them. Don't wish the worst for them by any means, but I'm a little disappointed right now. And that's okay, because I'm sure they've been disappointed in the right, but that's just where I sit. It looks like my guest is here and I'm super excited. Let's get on with today's show, which is not about any of that. This is about a real life police breakdown with somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, who is considered an actual expert in use of force. Eli Donker, come on up, baby. Dang, dude, do we need to call in a larceny of sleeves?
So first of all, I have been listening and it's not unrelated. And secondly, I'm not a legal use of force expert in the sake of, like, you know, you get a legal use of force guy that can testify at a trial. I just want to clear that up real quick. I'm not that guy. I'm really good friends with one of the 3 guys in the state that is, and he only takes pro-cop positions. If the case is anti-cop, he doesn't take it. But I just wanted to clear that up real quick. I'm only an expert in the sense of I have used a lot of force. And, you know, unfortunately that's necessary. Because of that, you learn how to deal with using force. And when you get instructing other officers or back when I was instructing the military, it's not just teaching people how, it's teaching them why and teaching them how to deal with it and be an effective person. That make sense?
Yeah, totally does. Totally makes sense. I'm guessing this is probably going to be hard to do a breakdown because it looks like you're driving. Where are you headed to today?
Oh yeah, I am my class off. It's we're coming back from Fort Campbell. Actually, we were down there training jiu-jitsu. That's just as part of the combative spectrum, and got caught in some pretty nasty construction traffic. But it's okay.
Well, we're having a really hard time following you because it's going in and out. The service is going in and out. I'll probably just do this breakdown and we can catch up with you on the next one.
Dang it. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that's not working. I've not really run into that problem before.
No, it's like you sound okay right now. Sorry, we got people in the chats. It's really hard to hear you. It's the internet. I think it's just going in and out.
Okay. Well,
we'll catch up with you. I'll catch up with you soon. I'll catch up with you soon.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Sorry about that, guys. I see the chats are blowing up. It is hard to hear. It's okay. I will catch up with him when he's not driving. We do have a crazy breakdown today. We'll jump into the crazy breakdown. This one's probably should come with like some kind of a warning. And by the way, Eli, you're more than welcome to say backstage. If you want to chime in, you can text me and I will relay your words, or you can go like this and I'll bring you on. So this one's going to be come with like kind of like a trigger warning. This one is, I don't know. Like I watched this case this morning and, it's a doozy. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Here we go. This is coming from police activity and this was about 14 days ago.
No. What's the address of the emergency? Weber Road, Weber and 231, in Florida. Okay, what's going on over there? There's a guy in a red maroonish long sleeve shirt and black pants with a cane that is walking with a rifle. Not sure of the exact gun. Not even sure if it's BB, but I know a car went to turn off Weber just a second ago, and he took the gun off and pointed it at the car as the car was turning.
Daytime Sheriff's Office, where is your emergency?
There's a guy walking down at Weber Road with an assault rifle and found him.
Okay, what is your name? Okay.
I was actually just heading home because this is the same guy that was stalking me at my work yesterday.
Okay, just stay on the line with me. Are you close to Edward Road in Weber?
Yeah, I just kept driving. He waved at me and smiled, and I think he turned down Edward. I just kept going straight.
Mr. Smith.
How do you know my name? I didn't give you my name.
I know you didn't.
All right, so what we have here is a 911 call, multiple 911 calls about a man walking down the road with a rifle slung over his arm, pointing it at motorists. This is coming out of Florida. So we have a couple of things here from the law enforcement perspective. One, you're in Florida, so you know it's going to be crazy, right? This is going on in North Carolina. Maybe it reduces the threat just a little bit. You know, we'll take it from like a 99%, like this could go batshit crazy, to like 92%, right? But now that we're in Florida, let's just go ahead and escalate it already by about 5 or 6% because it's Florida. We know that Florida men are crazy men. I was born and raised in Florida. Listen, everything in Florida wants to kill you. They have all the poisonous snakes. They have all the aggressive sharks, not to mention crocodiles and alligators, plus Casey Anthony. It's got it all. Florida has everything that is scary. It's like a miniature Australia. So already, like you're getting this call, it's different because it's in Florida. You get this call in Texas, not that big a deal, right? Everybody's walking down the road in Texas with a gun. Maybe the pointing at it's a little bit sketchy. We'll deal with it. But like it's happening in Florida, like it's crazy. You know it's going to get crazy quick. So that's I'm just trying to paint the picture for the audio listeners. The police are going to roll up on this man. His name is Justin Chandler Smith. And this is at Weber Road in Fountain, Florida. And this is like not even the nice part of Florida. This is like obviously the swamps of Florida. This is where I grew up, folks. Look at, if you see the setting here, this is Eric. This is where I grew up. This is where I was born and raised, playing in the swamps of Florida, riding my dirt bike and wrestling alligators and whatnot. So they pull up to a very typical Florida man for all you audio listeners. He's got the faded red shirt, the big giant sunglasses. He's got the Florida man hat, the straw hat. You know what I'm talking about. The Greg Norman straw golfer hat. And he's got this short barreled shotgun slung over his shoulder, and maybe like a 1911 or some kind of a large pistol on his hip. I can't really tell from this angle, but this is what the cop's going to pull up to. Let me go ahead and start with this. You cannot just jump out of your car and point your gun at this guy. That's not how this works. It's Florida. It's an open carry state. People carry gun, like everybody in Florida's got a gun. That's nothing new. Witnesses oftentimes will get things wrong, way wrong. This could be a BB gun. It could be a lot of things. Just like the case that we covered when the cops got out at the park and the kid had the BB gun. They didn't get out guns a-blazing. But when the kid pulled the gun, they got to work on him, and it was a BB gun. And we saw the backlash. It looks like Eli has pulled over here, so I'm going to see if I can bring him back on. Eli, how's that? Let's see. Can we get you on here? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I was just getting ready to text that.
You sound great now. You sound awesome. Oh no, where'd he go? Oh, we had him and he was sounding great. We lost him. Let me just text him because I really want to get his let's see here. Jump back on, brother. Guests are, it's always hard to have a guest because there's a lot of extra moving pieces, especially when we don't have a producer right now because I'm on this 90-day book tour. Here we go, though. He'll jump back on, I'm sure. You can't just jump out and put this guy on the ground and prone him out and all these things. It's just not how that works. So this cop, in my opinion, maybe the cop pulls up a little too close. I don't. Listen, I get a call that a dude is in Florida pointing his gun at cars. I don't know if I'm pulling right up on him. But these are Florida cops, and Florida cops are built different. They're tougher, they're stronger, and they're used to dealing with more shit than I am. So that's what he chose to do, is pull up on him. Eli, you want to chime in?
Yeah. So I finally got it working. Sorry, I hit the back button one too many times. I think we have it working now. Can you hear me okay?
You sound great.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I think that's a thing that every cop has to manage their distance based on what they're comfortable doing. Whether they'd rather work at projectile range or clinch range.
Yeah, this one's tough because he's got a long gun and a handgun, and he looks a little bit Florida crazy. I'm gonna play just another little snippet, and then I'm gonna see what you would do from there. Here we go.
Your gun! It don't work.
Mr. Smith.
I'm not reaching for mine.
I know
Reach
you're not.
for yours.
Mr. Smith.
Reach for your
Grab
gun.
that by the strap and put it down, please.
Camera on? I don't see no red
It's
light.
on.
Sure.
Mr. Smith, do you know where you're at?
Yeah.
Where you at?
Wait, County. I'm on. No, is this in your height? Nope.
It is high.
This is Carolina. So do this.
Okay. Can I take that off you?
Huh?
Can I take that by the strap and get off it?
You worried about it? You got a gun. You got two of them.
I know. You got two
Why
as
you
well.
want mine? So why you want just one?
Mr. Smith.
Hey, I'm telling you, you touched me, bro. I
Mr.
talked about
Smith.
this shit.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to stop it right there. Eli, what are your thoughts so far? One, this guy looks like Billy Bob Thornton. Go ahead. What do you see so far?
Well, I think that one of the big differences coming out of the military into law enforcement is, in law enforcement, we don't always have to have the sense of urgency. And it's very easy to get sucked into your natural human communication pattern of wanting to make eye contact and talk with somebody. But right now, what's going through my mind, the biggest thing is there's no reason not to tell the guy to turn around. And I'm also wondering how far away this officer's backup is, or if he knows that there's backup coming. But most people are less likely to make a move on you. So I probably would be thinking, I'm going to tell him to turn around, and I'd be like, hey man, we're just going to kind of wait a minute and sort this out, because it's a dangerous situation and I want to keep you safe. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, me personally, this cop, he's got that real Southern Florida accent. Now, I grew up, where I grew up is the spitting image of this right here. A lot of dirt roads, mainly, and I rode my dirt bike everywhere. And I knew every single cop in my county by name at 13 years old. I wasn't even a troublemaker. Like, it's just, that's the kind of place Florida is in these parts of the swamps. And so this kind of cop looks like at least it sounds like to me that maybe this cop has dealt with this guy before, because he's like, Mr. Smith. Like, he's calling him by name.
Yeah, so he already knows who the guy is.
Right. And maybe he's thinking that he has earned some kind of respect from Mr. Smith, but he's got that real good Florida Southern gentleman where he's just like, come on now, Mr. Smith, can I take that off you, sir? Can I take that off you? I want to play it back. Just something to pick up on. It's almost like this cop maybe knows of this guy.
Okay. Can I take that off of you? Huh? Can I take that by the strap and get off of you?
You worried about it? You got a gun. You got two of them.
I know. You got two.
Why you want mine? So why you want just one?
Mr. Smith.
Hey, I'm telling you, you touched me, bro. I
Mr.
talked about
Smith.
this shit. Hey, one more. Hey,
grab it. Don't you touch it.
Don't.
Man, I got one at gunpoint.
All right. I mean,
yeah.
So here's the toughie here, dude. I'm not sure that, like, I'm not already shooting this guy. Like, I feel like, here's what I think's going on, and you tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like this is that problem with de-escalation is everybody has just, like, it's almost like you're mandated this de-escalate. Like, de-escalation has been, in my opinion, and I'll hear yours in a second, is so, like, disproportionately, it's blown out of proportion. Does that make sense? Like, the de-escalation is a thing, and we should try to achieve de-escalation, but it isn't a law. Like, there's no law that says we by law must de-escalate you.
Well, you ever heard the expression, don't take advice from somebody you wouldn't want to be?
Sure.
Okay. So here's the thing about de-escalation is a lot of people that advocate for it not only aren't cops, but they live their lives like prey. And you can only de-escalate from a position of forceful advantage. You can't de-escalate from a position of weakness. And so there's a difference between presenting yourself as weak or unready and presenting yourself as highly effective and reticent. And I think, especially with civilian law enforcement and the the illusion that we uphold that humans are civil creatures, that we should be reticent to use force, but not unable and not unwilling. And it seems here, if he did know the guy, the problem with giving people leeway is then if it gets violent, you have to take it back. If you don't give them leeway, you can explain to them you're doing that because you're methodical, because you're professional, you're keeping them safe. Lots of times you don't say out loud, the thing you're keeping them safe from is you. Like, hey man, I'm going to ask you to turn around and we're going to wait till somebody else gets here because this could get dangerous and I want it to be safe. I want to keep you safe. I don't say the part out loud of I want to keep you safe from what I'm going to do when you gain freedom of movement, making gestures with your left hand and then go for your waistband. Because I know what I'm going to do when you go for your waistband. And I don't want to do that. Like, I'd prefer to avoid it at all costs. Because about the time your elbow dips down, I'm done with conscious and deliberate decision making. We're reverting now to trained responses. And I don't want that for you.
Right. Yeah. It's like if you're in law enforcement and you are not dangerous, then you're worthless. Actually, you're useless. Like if you're, I love how you said that.
Okay. You're a walking cachet for whoever's going to beat you half to death, take your keys, take your gun. And now he's out with law enforcement equipment, not as a law enforcement officer. You're worse than you. You're a liability.
You are a liability. That was like a pretty, like when you started off the sentence of like, you can only be dangerous if you can only be effective if you're talking from a point of view of like basically authority. Like it's funny to me because it's like my children, my 12-year-old, right? Like there's nothing my 12-year-old can make me do.
Right.
Nothing he can make me do. Like it's just like it doesn't matter how bad he wants me to do it or what he's like. There's nothing he can do that will make me do anything because he has zero authoritative ability. Now you put a gun in his hand and he points that gun at me. Well, now he has my attention because he is more dangerous than me at that point in time.
So let's go back to what you were saying, and we're going to briefly touch on where you said. I think you were making a comment saying in general leftists, what a most vocal small percentage of people left of center are revealing with Charlie Kirk's assassination and with the murder of Zarutsko on the train. What they're revealing is that they're not interested in the social contract. And law enforcement is a social contract that when you are having your worst day and you think that you could make it better by calling a stranger with a gun to your house to help. Like that's what cops are. It's professional grade strangers with guns. And I think back to one of the words of the great saints of our time, Sean Connery, and that terrible movie he was in with the Honorable Nicolas Cage, The Rock, right? Which
wait, stop. You hold it right there. That's the best movie ever made.
But there's a brilliant moment in that movie where General Hummel looks at a guy and says, "You've been commanded by a superior officer. You've been asked by an old friend." And then he breaks leather and goes, "And now you're being given your last chance by a man with a gun."
Yeah.
The beauty of that dialogue is that's the human condition. And at the end of the day, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's who the cops are. That's who they have to be. And if they don't show up and be that, then other forces are going to get the idea in their mind that maybe they should try to challenge that. Maybe they should try to see if they can prevail under the most common ancestral language of our species, which is violence. So what I want to do is I want to show up and everything about me, if 90% of human communication is nonverbal, I want all my nonverbal to read all the way back to your instinctual knowledge from your ancestors for 8,000 or 10,000 years since we left the Garden of Eden, that you're not going to probably win a fight with me. So maybe let's find another way out. And now we're on the same team. We've got at least one thing in common. We both don't want you to fight me. And I can work from that. I can leverage that. I can de-escalate from that. But I can't de-escalate from, please, sir, please, sir, please. That's isn't that the dialogue they use in cheap dime store novels about S&M stuff? That's not how you do it.
Yeah, I always say that like when you show up prepared, when you show up more prepared than the other guy to win at violence, you are coming to the table with two aces. And all he's coming to the table with is a bluff. If you ever play poker, you're not going to win a Hold'em tournament solely by bluffing your way through the whole thing. A matter of fact, you only can really bluff in the rarest of occasions and win a tournament.
Yeah. Or even if they're not bluffing, I don't mind issuing the due respect for a guy that's holding a pair of eights. Okay. You got a pair of eights, man. I can respect that and not, one of the things about a social contract, and this is something that I really feel Jesus has been convicting me to improve on, is over the last 2 years, I have realized it costs me nothing to affirm other people. And if there's one thing that I could improve, I think in law enforcement culture with the way we treat each other, is that it doesn't lessen me to affirm you. And you can do that with people even if you're at odds with them. I don't have to like them. Like, love, trust, and respect are 4 different words for a reason. I don't have to respect their choices. I don't have to like them, but I can still give them the affirmation of, look, man, you look like you're thinking about fighting me. I don't think that's a real good idea because both of us are going to wind up in ER and then you're going to have one more felony charge. All right. I didn't call him a bitch,
right.
But we'll let him know that the path of violence is not going to produce the desired end result. So how can we come to a solution that produces the desired end result for you? Like, you get to keep your teeth.
I like how this cop is handling it thus far. I don't really have a problem with the. I don't say this in a mean way, but I don't mind it in the. I don't know, not the Barney fight, but the Andy Griffith. I like the Andy Griffith open-handed kindness. You know, I understand it. I empathize with it. You're a country boy. Country boys will survive. You can deal with it in this kind of country boy attitude, which is, I love that. You know, I live in the country. I'm a country boy at heart, and I understand that. But there's also a time where you have to let that go, and you've got to get to work. I think the minute this guy jerks that smoke wagon, as they say in the another great film, Tombstone, I don't know that I'm giving him another chance without shooting him, because now you're gambling with your life. You're gambling that he doesn't get that thing out and shoot from the hip and catch you in the dick, in the femoral artery, in the kneecap. There's a lot of bad things that can happen. And you just went from having 2 aces. Now you've got 3 of a kind because you got your gun out before him, but you're not putting it on the table. So you're allowing for a flush to you're allowing for a flush to hit the table. You're allowing for something like, is that going to happen? Probably not. But you're by allowing it, not betting right now, you're allowing more cards to show. And I don't know how that's going to play out. So I'm going to play this and we'll see how it plays out. Me as a poker player.
Okay, but I want to be honest about something before you play this. I want to go on the record before you play it so that we can see what happens.
Okay.
The longer you let a situation develop, the greater the likelihood that somebody on your team dies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I have never been in a gunfight that I wished would go just a little bit longer. You know?
That's right. Yeah. If anybody knows me, I love playing poker. I don't even like to gamble. I actually prefer to play poker in tournaments for like prizes versus for money. So I don't think I'm like some kind of degenerate, but I do. If I log in right now and show you how many days consecutively I played poker on my phone, I think it's like somewhere around 637 or something like that days consecutive. Maybe it's 638. I'm not sure, but my wife makes fun of me all the time because every night before I go to bed, she reads and I play poker. But so I use a lot of poker analogies. I don't know if I'm not. Once he made that affirmative movement towards his gun, it's hard for me to say in this guy because it seems like he knows him. So maybe that's what's keeping him from, putting holes in this guy. But I want to be clear that this cop is gambling right now. Yes, he has 3 aces, but it's a gamble. There's still 2 more cards to be played. I want to back it up a little bit, and we're going to play it just a little bit more.
You got 2 of them.
I know, you got 2
Why
as
you
well.
want mine? So why you want just one?
Mr. Smith.
Hey, I'm telling you, you touched me, bro. I
Mr.
talked about
Smith.
this shit. Hey, one more. Hey,
Yep.
No, 2 touch.
Don't.
Bag, I want a gunpoint.
No,
Put it down. Put it down. Hey, shots fired. Drop the gun. Drop it. I need code 3 now. I got shots fired.
Oh boy. I haven't gotten this far in the video yet. I didn't get to the jumping on the hood. So I have to play this out for my audio listeners really fast because that's 99% of our followership is audio. What we have here is the officer standing toe to toe with this guy. He's got the 2 guns. The guy goes to unholster. His pants are too saggy, so his pants pull up with the holster. He can't get the gun out, which allows the cop to get his gun out first. He tells the guy to stop. The guy then pulls his gun out. The cop says stop again, and the bad guy gets the first round off, I believe. Let's go back. Did he get the first round?
It sounded like he did.
Let me see.
Carolina.
Okay. Can I take that off of you?
Huh?
Can I take that? No, you got 2
Why
as
you
well.
want mine? So why you want just one?
Mr. Smith.
Hey, I'm telling you, you touched me, bro. I
Mr.
talked about
Smith.
this shit. Hey, one more.
So right now he pulls the gun, but it doesn't come out of the holster because his pants are too saggy and he's not wearing a belt.
Grab it. Go.
Cop's got his gun out first. This guy's still got his hand on the firearm.
Touch.
Don't.
Bag, I want a gunpoint.
And now the man has unholstered and point the gun, to the center of his chest. He's about to punch it out. Now we have the officer talking on the radio, which you guys hear me talk about this every freaking episode. Stop with the radio traffic. It's just you. Like that. There's nobody right now on that radio that's going to keep you alive in this fight right now. It's you and him You have to win. Don't worry about the radio.
Put it down. Put it down.
Yes. And so this guy gets 2 rounds off, it sounds like.
It's hard to say because you can see which gun's going. But I mean, it really doesn't matter at that point because once the guy unholstered and raised the pistol, you knew it was going to be a gunfight. They're going to shoot at each other.
Right. I really like this. So this officer's going to take 2 rounds. He's not going to take 2 rounds. He's going to shoot 2 rounds over the hood of the car. Looks like the suspect is down. He's going to quick peek around the hood of the car. The suspect's going to shoot back. He's going to retreat back behind the front of his cage, and he's going to run all the way around to the back of the car, kind of playing whack-a-mole games here. He's going to quick peek, take 2 shots from the back, run all the way back around to the front of the car. Now, me personally, love that tactic. I think that's a well-trained, well-thought-out, and well-practiced movement there. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I've done some work with a company called ProTrain, Ron Hantz owns, and that's how they teach to move around cars and traffic stops, moving laterally like that. And I've gone, through those training, through their live fire training, and it's very effective. And it looks probably like if this guy wasn't trained on that ProTrain stops theory, he at least has, picked up that part of it. But that's kind of, I recognize that. And then he comes back around, and rather than peeking out in the same place twice around the front bumper, that's where he jumps on the hood to peek down. And I mean, if you only got one gunfight going on, it's a choice. You're giving up mobility for elevation, but I don't think the bad guy is going to expect you to peek over, basically emerge from over the windshield like that. So,
dude, I'm actually really impressed by this police officer. I mean,
so far. Also the fact that he's good enough to get up there in gear.
Yeah. No, I think it's I'm stoked on it. I like that he, and again, you can tell this is a confident cop. You can tell that he's confident in the way that he's talking. He's not scared. He's never at one moment is he scared. And I think this is why he's so successful in this gunfight here, is because at no point was he ever timid or scared. He wasn't afraid to reach out and try to get the gun off of the guy. He wasn't afraid to close the distance. He wasn't afraid to have conversation and dialect with the gentleman. I mean, he wasn't even afraid when the guy pulled his gun out. He still had the confidence. I'm going to win this fight. Now, I listen, I get it. You're confident. You got 3 aces. I'm older. I'm wiser. I've got 5 kids. I'm not gambling with 3 aces. I got 3 aces and there's still 2 cards to play. I'm going to go ahead and gamble on the 3 aces and let's just close this out and let's try to finish this right now. But hey, to each his own. I'm not here to Monday morning quarterback. But I really do like that he has his thinking cap on. I like the quick peeks. I think that's excellent. Playing whack-a-mole, going back and forth. And I like the surprise. Let's jump over the roof. I mean, that's pretty hard. Like, you have to be pretty comfortable with gunfighting and violence to be that creative in a gunfight. No?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm waiting for you to play the clip.
Oh, okay. I'm going to play it. Sorry.
On a gunpoint. Put it down. Put it down. Hey, shots fired. Drop the gun. Drop it. I need code 3 now. I got shots fired.
I also noticed that he's staying off of the car by a good arm's length, which is so hard to do. We've trained it all the time, but like what you want to do is pin your ass up against that car and move against the car. Am I wrong?
Well, that is something you got to train out of people. And shooting through the glass of his car wouldn't have worked at this point because the suspect had already gone down. And watching at that time, it is clear the suspect fired first.
Yeah.
So this cop still had 1 bullet at least come at him at the very beginning. And then you heard all the gunshots the guy made. So presumably he's laying on the ground next to the patrol vehicle on the curb right now.
Right. And I'm glad that the suspect wasn't creative enough to start firing rounds out the bottom of that vehicle. Yeah. But I always say that one of the hardest things to train out of people is them pinning their backs up against that car and sliding down the car, which is obviously you're just going to be a magnet of bullets for that at that point. It's just not a healthy thing to do. So I say all that to say that Bay County Sheriff in Florida, it looks like you guys are doing a great job training because he is a good arm's length off. He's kind of pieing around the corners. You can even see this on it. The quick peeking is great. So he is really setting himself up for success. And kudos to Bay County Sheriff for the training that you guys have put into your officers, or at least the training that this officer has done on his own. Let's finish this out.
Hey, a shot's fired. One subject down.
So my only problem here, and I just want to say it, I'm not shit talking this cop. He's got a lot going on. His brain is moving way faster than my brain is moving, looking at this from 40,000 feet up in the air. Guys, we got to stop with this radio traffic. Like, let's go ahead and reload. Let's get ourselves ready for the gunfight, and then let's go back to the radio. But like now we're switching hands again. Yeah, we saw it in the last video. We saw it a few weeks ago when the officer switches to his left hand, grabs the radio with his dominant hand, and gets right back into a gunfight and takes rounds. He gets shot, and then he has to switch his gun around, and then he has to do shooting. Like, there's a reason why I say, like, the radio is going to get you hurt, and it's going to get these cops hurt. We've got to start training. This radio traffic's got to.
Have you heard the audio of that ambush I was in where guys keep interrupting saying they're 1023?
No, I haven't. We should have played that.
Oh, I'll send it to you sometime. But yeah, I'm trying to have a gunfight and guys half a mile away are calling in their 1023. And I'm like,
yeah, who cares?
First of all, you're 1060. You're not 1023. And secondly, shh, daddy's working.
Oh, I hope you guys are thinking about the gunfight before you're thinking about the radio. And that's just something we see across the board right now. Everybody just wants to be on that radio. Look, you're in a gunfight and it's one-on-one. You're winning. Like, let's just keep going.
We have this location. Weber and 231.
And so now this is another thing that we're seeing is that, you know, cops, because of mainstream media, because of people that don't know what they're talking about, are saying that we have to do medical attention. We have to deliver medical. We have to de-escalate. We have to provide medical. We're now risking our lives even more to go give medical aid. There's no rush here. And I hope you guys can understand that you are not required to risk your life to give this guy medical aid right now. This is where you wait and you get other officers and a shield. And if this guy bleeds to death, he bleeds to death.
Well, I think that, and this officer is doing a great job of that. Again, the controlling the pace, not getting sucked up in the urgency. He's maintaining cover. He's covering the suspect, but he's not getting out from behind the cover of the engine block and the bumper and, you know, that nice Ibis-Tech push bar. And so he's doing a great job of not like running up on the body and poking it with a stick or something and getting shot.
Right. Let's play this.
Back up, back up. 471, same traffic. 25-8.
I see, for me, I'm not, you're telling a bystander to back up. I'm not going after that gun right now. I don't care. But again, this cop's got a bleeding heart. He loves humanity, and that's good. That's good for him. He's a good person. He's an amazing human being, probably a better person than I'll ever be. But he wants to start medical. This guy could be playing wolf right now. We saw that, 4 or 5 videos ago. Remember where the guy hits the telephone pole, fakes like he's dead. The cops all walk up on him and he gets back to work again and the cops have to kill him. You know, like, these things happen. You have to know that these things happen, and you're gambling because mainstream media is telling you that you have to start medical right now. You don't. You can stand behind there and wait for the cavalry to show up. Here we go.
Weber and 231.
Because this guy had a pistol too, and now you've turned your back on him to get rid of this rifle. Like, I just don't like it. I don't like it. It's not wrong. I just don't like it.
Round 3 from Penny 231. Oh, he's in round. 6-8, if we haven't already fired EMS around.
But I just want to say this really quick, and I'll turn it over to you. This is the compassion that is police officers. This is the battle that police officers face. This man tried to kill him. This cop who probably has a wife and children or some significant other and family at home, this man tried to take his life away from him and from his family. And here he is risking his neck all alone in the swamps of Florida, trying to get medical gloves to do what? To save this man? Like, this is what cops are. We have this internal struggle where we have to help. And I know that people think that we're just some kind of warmongering, want to kill people. We want to pull our guns. We want to shoot. If this isn't proof that cops want to be the hero in your life, they want you to repent, which is a weird word, but like this guy, he does not hate this man. If he hated this man, he would just let him choke to death on his own blood right there alone in the grass. But no, here he goes diving into his car and trying to get gloves and a med kit and get to work. I think that's beautiful. What do you think, Eli?
Well, I'm glad I'm not. I'm glad I wasn't this officer. This is a tough situation to be in. That's the biggest thing I'm thinking, is you having some compassion for the situation he's in, and that guy being alone. That officer being alone. That's rough, man. You know, and the grace that we should extend him for being in that moment, being all by yourself. And also too, I want to say the resolution we have on that body camera video is not near good enough for us to make decisions or really form an opinion on his decisions.
Sure.
Of how shot that guy is. I mean, you were saying if the guy was playing possum because he's laying on his stomach and there's a handgun unaccounted for, but we can't see all the things. Does it look like somebody spilled cottage cheese and raspberry jam all over the back of the guy's head? Because, you know, if it does, you can go ahead and turn your back on him.
Right.
If there, you know, there's a million things.
Sure.
And I've seen people pump a shot into a human that I know is no longer with us, but also I know that as part of the dying process, a body will not only twitch, but like move.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see hand movement, I mean, what are you going to do? Wait around to see if it's a twitch or he comes up with a gun? Or are you just going to shoot him again because his gun hand is moving? Like, these are all things that you're getting at second guessing somebody's motives for what they're doing. I think that probably the best thing to do is what you're saying, of giving him the grace of, he's thinking in terms of, first of all, protecting the public. Obviously he wants to win and protect himself. And I've got one more thought on that I'll come back to, but he is trying to render aid to a guy that just tried to kill him. And that's noble. And as far as the other point, going back to protecting yourself, a law enforcement officer has to constantly balance how many people are going to die if I lose. Because if somebody tries to kill you as a cop, they're obviously not behaving like a rational human being. And if you get killed, well, you just gave them, you know, a plus up of a cachet. What are they going to go on to do? So yeah, you really have to weigh risking yourself, not out of self-preservation, but out of the risk to the public. If that guy kills me, grabs my keys, gets my car, gets out my patrol rifle, you know, whether you like it or not, you are gambling, and you're gambling at a pretty high stakes table. And if you lose, you're not going to be the only one that pays for it. So you're gambling with other people's lives.
Yeah. 100%. I thought this was a fun breakdown. This is a great cop, and kudos to him. It sucks that he had to go through this. It almost sounds like he knew Mr. Smith. And that's always hard to do, because even that guy that throws nickels and dimes at the car on the corner of Newbern and Raleigh, and you always get calls for him, you don't hate him. You feel bad for him. You've got to know him over the years. You empathize with him. You wish he could get off the streets. You wish he could be better. You've probably had conversations. You've probably bought him a Bojangle biscuit or something. You know, you do become attached to these characters that are on your beat. They are very humanized. I want to read really quick just the overview. This was happened on September 3rd, 2025. Dispatcher received multiple calls about an erratic man walking along Weber Road with a rifle in Fountain, Florida. 8:30 a.m. Bay County Sheriff arrived, made contact. Seconds later, according to the sheriff's office, Smith fired at the deputy The deputy was not hit. He returned fire and struck Smith. Body camera footage shows the deputy attempting to de-escalate the situation and disarm Smith, who then drew a handgun. After the shooting, the deputy administered medical aid and emergency medical services transported Smith to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Administrative leave. As a standard protocol, the deputy was placed on administrative leave. September 10th, the Bay County Sheriff's Office released the body camera footage. Ongoing investigation. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement is investigating the shooting. Bay County Sheriff Tommy Ford stated that Smith had been involved in another encounter with law enforcement that night before and showed signs of mental distress. We got a lot of the mental distress. I always say that your mental problems are yours and your family's responsibility. And when they pour out onto the streets, that becomes our responsibility. And we're going to handle it much different than you and your family. So it is your duty and obligation as a family member or as someone who's struggling with mental health to get yourself help before we are forced to get involved, because then you're taking the gamble. So unfortunate events. And unfortunately, with the stabbing that just happened in Charlotte, I mean, people that I'm really close to in my own hometown are bleeding hearts for this man who stabbed that woman in the neck because of mental illness. And I just don't see it. I don't see it. There's a local brewery in town that, talking about, trying to turn this into a mental health thing. And it's, it's noble. I understand where they're coming from. I don't hate them for saying what they said, but it's just, it makes no sense to me because, I don't think there is any redeeming quality in somebody who does something. At that point, I don't think it's mental illness. I think it's just evil. I don't know. Maybe is that wrong?
I don't know if it's wrong. It's just you said a lot, so I'm thinking about everything you considering all the things. Are you familiar with the concept in tactical training for police of pre-assault indicators?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a huge indicator-based police. I'm really big into indicator-based policing. Yeah.
Well, I think when we hear things that provoke our compassion, going back to what I said earlier, that provoking our compassion makes us skip over pre-assault indicators. And it's very difficult to discipline yourself to not skip over those pre-assault indicators and be in that position of capable authority to take command of a situation in order to de-escalate it. That said, we started out talking about de-escalation, and if the guy is exhibiting symptoms of mental health issues, crazy people don't behave rationally. That's why they're crazy. So they're not going to necessarily react in the way that a rational person would. Some people are just emotional. You just got to get their attention. And once you've got their attention and they're locked in on you, you can have a rational de-escalation with them. Other people, if they are not in their right mind, they're not in their right mind. If I bug all your software, your computer's not going to give me the outputs it should because the software ain't running right.
Right.
And that's, I think, where it goes. And it's unfortunate, but it's not up to us. Evil, and even Matt Larson just released something where he talked about how people used to talk about a spirit of evil or evil spirit, and you're seeing that with people that are wanting to make shirts and stickers of Charlie Kirk while he's being shot, and they're showing that they're not interested in the social contract. And to tie it all up, it's going to come back around to what you were saying of these very vocal, very far left people that are wanting to celebrate the grisly death of a man in front of his family in an act of domestic terrorism. Evil exists. It has not been given us the authority to destroy evil. The only thing we get to affect is who lives in fear. We can't make pedophiles that sexually assault or exploit children or fund the sexual exploitation of children on media, videos, stuff like that. We can't end that. It's not given over to us. The only choice we get to make is whether those men that give themselves over to that kind of evil it's a spirit of evil, of exploitation, of consumption of other humans, is whether those men live in fear of men like me or women and children live in fear of men like them. That's the only choice I get to make. At some point, it's going to go from your poker analogy to my favorite game of blackjack. Are you going to hit or are you not going to hit? That's the only choice you get to make. Is gambling on hitting or not? Well, I get to choose who lives in fear, and I'd rather have them live in fear that guys like me are going to find you and come to your house and make new friends, and you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
If I could wave a magic wand, get rid of evil, I would. It's not given to me.
It's beautifully put. Obviously this man was suffering from some mental illness, but again, like I always say, that was between him and his family. Once he gets out on the street, that cop has one job, and that is to make sure that the bystanders who this man is pointing a rifle at are safe. And you can only de-escalate so much and gamble with those lives that are around you, as Eli was talking about. You have to close the distance. You have to get that firearm off, not because maybe you're afraid that he's going to shoot you, but he's going to shoot those around you. Or if he does shoot you, he's going to get your weapon, your cachet, and he's going to do it. So there's an obligation that when we get involved to deal with your mental illness, it's going to go extremely different than if the family and yourself deal with your mental illness appropriately. And I'm not saying that to be callous or not empathetic towards mental illness in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm saying is that we have to do a better job as a society in policing those around us with mental illness, and making sure, as they say, that those people in mental illness are afraid of the consequences when they have to come in contact with guys like Eli or guys like this officer here, that we are going to win. And they should know that, listen, I should probably not drink this alcohol knowing that I have a big problem, or I should not do these methamphetamines, or whatever it is that's causing the mental illness, whatever choices you're making that have taken you down this very dark hole. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done. But when it spills out onto the streets and the police have to deal with it, it just becomes that more tragic. So, man, I really appreciate you joining us today. You don't have social media, do you?
I have a Facebook page, and then I put my Instagram handle on there, Badge72.
Okay. How can people follow you?
Yeah, I'm a peer counselor for the Wounded Blue for law enforcement. I built a small network for combat veterans to have peer support when I first got back from the war. And I'm a huge advocate of psychological readiness for anybody who's in a profession of arms, because it is a lot easier to build and maintain a cop or anybody else that can get in a gunfight and then return to duty with that experience and that knowledge and that further maturity than it is to try to fix one after they have had some kind of moral or psychological injury. I want to, my dream would be for guys to train by day on all of their combatives drills and their marksmanship drills and their firearms drills, and then sit around at dinner and talk about the psychological readiness aspects that need to go hand in hand with that until it gets dark, and then go back and do all the tactical training again in the dark. Because if you can't do it, in the dark, you really can't do it proficiently. And that would be my dream of what we make the new standard in law enforcement. And I would love to see our culture turn into that. And I think podcasts like this helps. I think difficult conversations helps. Looking at what a guy does, doing an after action review of what he does, saying, you know what, there's some things in there that I'm going to bear in mind, that if I get in that situation, I'm going to try to tune up a little bit, because I think I can build on and improve on his success of what he had living through this encounter and winning. At no point did I shit talk what he was doing or Monday morning quarterback him or say that he was a bad guy. I don't know this guy, but I'd take him on patrol with me.
100%.
That also doesn't mean that I'm going to sit back and say, you know what, I think I can maybe make one refinement to that. Maybe I can make 2 little improvements that next time it goes even better. Constantly sharpening that edge, constantly trying to improve. And if we're in a constant improvement mindset, that changes the law enforcement mindset to the point where you're not at each other's throats, you're not backstabbing, you're not getting stupid policies from admin that don't understand. Because if you're in a mindset of constant improvement, you cannot be shamed.
Yeah. No, and one of the big reasons we started this breakdown 4 years ago with Mike the Cop was because of Ferguson and Michael Brown and all these things. It was never to Monday Morning Quarterback or to shame the police, but it was more to kind of like show you the similarities, what police officers have to deal with versus like what even an NFL football player or a college football or high school football player has to deal with. A football player can practice the same play all week over and over again. And at night in the piece of his own movie theater, watch reels of the defense that he's the opposition that he's going to face, watch what they do and see how they react. And he's got all of this knowledge and all this practice, and he still shows up on Sunday and accidentally throws the ball right to the defender, but it's not, he just woke up and said, you know what? Fuck my team. I'm going to give the ball to the other team. No, it's a series of breakdowns that happen of what made this quarterback accidentally throw the ball, or, it's very rarely is it like negligent. It's not like he just was like, you know what? I'm just going to wing this ball. Does it happen? Sure. But a lot of times it's the receiver broke right instead of broke left, or there was a breakdown in the guard, or the offensive line guy went this way when he should have went that way. And there's things that happen that cause the chaos to ensue, and then ultimately end up in some kind of a bad sports play. But the breakdowns is simply just to see where the breakdown happens, and But I love this cop. I think he's a very well trained cop. I think he handled this superbly.
And I hope he's reaching out to formulate that narrative in his head for, first of all, making sure he's all right, and second of all, how he can help others going forward. But, you hit on two more important things there that are important with training and law enforcement proficiency and the duty to be a professional. One is the idea of the tactical athlete. The Army came around to that idea. You go to Ranger Regiment now, and all those guys have nutritionists and physical trainers like a football team in the NFL, which they should. Every brigade in the Force Com has a nutritionist and a trainer. They should. If you have a badge, you are a tactical athlete. Act like it. Yes. The other thing, you don't train so that you're 100% is good. That's not what we want. You train so that at your worst, you're still better than the guy that's trying to kill you. I need for you to be able to do it when you're hungry, when you're tired, when you're cold, when you're hot, when you're pissed off, when you've got, glass in your hands and blood in your eyes, and you still got to be able to do it. So you got to train to a standard where even your worst day is better than their best day. And that's an accountability of constant improvement.
Boy, I love that. Everybody
loves that when we're talking on a podcast. But do you love it enough to get up early in the morning and go grapple? Do you love it enough to spend your own money on 50 extra rounds and go drill? Do you love it enough to do dry fire every day? Practice your draw stroke. That's when you'll tell me whether or not you love it, whether or not you love being a cop, whether or not you love the people you defend.
Well said. I'll end it there because I don't think I could end it any better. You guys, Badge 72, Eli Donker, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to have this conversation with us. Thanks for the breakdown.
Sorry about the rough start, man. We got caught in construction.
You're fine. Hey, it totally happens.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, guys, and thank you to the Bay County Sheriff's Department, and thank you for this sheriff for all the things that he does for his community, for winning the fight. Congratulations, and for just being a compassionate human being, seeking to render that aid, and just being exactly what we, the civilians, expect somebody that wears the badge would do. You are a great example to law enforcement, and we really appreciate it, guys. This is Failure to Stop. Guns up and giddy up.